joining us now on the phone. She's a professor at Cal State LA. We hope, keep those letters coming, will soon be the dean of the School of Ethnic Studies there at Cal State LA. And she's also one of the founders of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. Dr. Melina Abdullah, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Dominique.
Thank you for all that you do. You're amazing. I think that you really, you just talk about don't stop, can't stop, won't stop. That's you and Black Lives Matter.
Well, it takes one to know one, so thank you.
Of course, I'm thinking about, boom, Jackie Lacey has not been reelected. We have a new district attorney. Folks might have thought you guys would rest for a moment, but no, you pop right up at Mayor Garcetti's house. And it's like, wait, there was barely even a celebration. I know there was a celebration. I saw people dancing.
Yeah, well, we can't stop because oppression doesn't stop, right? And so it's really important that we expose Eric Garcetti for his terrible record of housing and transportation. And our work is to block him from making his policies national policies. So every single day, every single morning, we're in front of his house saying "Black Garcetti" from the Biden administration.
Yeah, I heard you saying we'll take one for the team by keeping him rather than letting him go to the national stage. It's interesting, too, because I know that, Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, is considered to be a liberal by some, a progressive. He calls himself a progressive. So it seems, unusual that BLM would be going after someone who considers himself a progressive.
Well, labels are one thing and policies are something else, right? So under Mayor Garcetti, we have 40,000 unhoused people in the city and 120,000 additional households, majority Black, are set to lose housing in the next month or two. We've seen the unhoused population grow by 42% under his misleadership. And what happens as a result of the lack of housing is not just tents, but also death. 4 people die every single day from being unhoused in the city of Los Angeles. So if his policies were national policies, what would happen to our people all around the country? When we talk about transportation, we know that, the world over, Los Angeles is known as one of the worst cities on the planet for public transportation, but we also know how he's divested from bus systems and spent on rail systems and really enacted racist policies that allow for the above grounding of like the Crenshaw line that will absolutely, we know the Crenshaw line when it's above ground in Black communities will kill people. Do we want that to be national policy? We had to call in for federal intervention. What if he were the federal intervention? And so, he can have a label of a progressive if it makes him feel good, but the policies say something different. And this isn't personal. This is about making sure that our people are protected and making sure that we always do all that we can to struggle for justice and freedom for our folks.
And this is a decision that could be coming down any day, right? Because the Biden administration is being put together day by day by day. There's been word for months that Mayor Eric Garcetti may join his administration. He was, part of the selection committee for the vice president. So is that why you guys are there every morning right now?
Yep. So we started the day that the transition team was activated. Today is day 10. Every single day, there's at least 100 of us in front of his house, and we'll be there. People can join us. We'll have donuts 9 a.m. this morning, 6th and Irving, and we're there to issue a wake-up call. And what we've said is we'll stop protesting when Eric Garcetti says that he'll reject any appointment, or when Joe Biden says that he's not considering Eric Garcetti for a position. And then we can go home. We really don't want to, I mean, it's not fun to get up. It is fun, but it's not fun, right? There's other things we can do with our time other than getting up early in the morning, and we meet up at 8 a.m. and go over there at 9 a.m. and, you know, protest, and there's police and riot gear, and I'd rather be with my children, making sure they don't turn their cameras off and go back to sleep on Zoom school, you know?
Yeah, no, that part. So, boy, I hate Zoom school, but that's another conversation. So have you gotten any response from the mayor? Has he issued a statement? I haven't seen one.
Well, there haven't been any direct statements, but he's issued indirect statements saying that his priority is Los Angeles. But he hasn't specifically said that he will reject a cabinet appointment. If he does that, then we will go home, right?
Yeah, I mean, my priority is broccoli, but that doesn't mean I don't have dessert. I mean, what does that mean? That's, you know, that's very vague.
Right.
And so you want him to say, look, I will definitely not take a job, or you want the Biden-Harris administration to say, we are not going to hire this dude. And until
Absolutely.
Then, it's every day.
And everybody can help us with that. So if you can join us, please join us at 9 a.m. today and every day until that statement comes out. But if you can't join us, you can use your social media. And we're using the hashtag #BlockGarcetti and tag Joe Biden, tag Mayor of L.A., and say, you know, we're waiting for an affirmative statement to be issued. Say that you won't take a position in D.C., and we'll go home. But if everybody could use their social media to say Block Garcetti, that's also helpful.
Speaking of positions, there's a petition going around. I know you have shared it as well, to try to get the governor to appoint a black woman to replace Kamala Harris when she goes to the Senate, because, as I've said, we shouldn't have to take a L because we won the vice presidency. That doesn't make sense for black women. That would mean there would be no black women, 0 in the Senate. But now I'm hearing that the governor may even appoint himself.
Wow, I didn't hear about him appointing himself. That would be tragic. That would be
Apparently
very Trumpian.
He can do that. Yeah, it would be very Trumpian, but apparently he can do that. And the reason I bring it up, because to me it's like an escape hatch. Here you are in a similar situation with our mayor, where you've got, houselessness raging through the state. You've got budget devastated due to the pandemic, all these unresolved policing issues. And it would be tempting to just be pieced out, right? Oh, good, I'm going to go to the Senate. I mean, not that he couldn't do anything in the Senate, but it would be less day-to-day responsibility for our state than being the governor. So I'm wondering if, you said you hadn't heard it. I was wondering if anyone is taking a position on that. I know appoint a black woman means don't appoint yourself, but...
Yeah, we've taken a strong position that he needs to appoint a black woman, specifically Karen Bass or Barbara Lee. And on BlackLivesMatter.com, we've been spreading that petition, trying to get everyone to sign. So that's something else that Front Page Family can do right now, is go to BlackLivesMatter.com and sign that petition. And we're advocating heavily. You're right. We can't have a U.S. Senate with no black women in it. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we can, but it would be tragic. It would be terrible. It would be underrepresentation of the folks who are actually the most authentic leaders. When we measure black women's leadership, they are the most connected to community. Not every single one, but overall, black women are most connected to community and constituencies of any group who is in elected office. And so we absolutely want a Senate that includes all we're saying. Well, not all we're saying, but what we're saying right now is just one. Can we have just one black woman in the U.S. Senate of 100 folks? Can we have just one black woman? We also only have 3 overall black senators overall, and I'm including one who's, one of those skin folk who ain't kinfolk, right?
Right.
And so we need to make sure that we have some black representation in the Senate, especially as we're talking about confirming appointments for the Biden administration, that we need senators in there. I didn't realize Newsom was possibly appointing himself. We heard about Javier Becerra or Alex Padilla. And, you know, of course, Latinx representation is also important, but not at the expense of black women being completely absent from the Senate.
I'm glad you said that because, you know, I feel like we can be sort of tricked into, you know, making this a moment where we fight against one another. But my thing is, like, a black woman earned that seat, i.e. Kamala Harris earned that seat. So a black woman should keep that seat. And I would definitely support Padilla or Becerra if they run for Feinstein's seat, you know, and help them mobilize their, you know, their peeps and our peeps to get them in. But right now, I think a black woman has to replace a black woman.
That's right. That's right.
All right. When we get back, I want to talk about your thoughts regarding former President Barack Obama's comments on Defund the Police, and also Alex Villanueva's idea that sheriffs can hide their identity, and maybe some updates on some of the other cases, Andres Guardado, Dijon Kizi, or anything else you want to put a spotlight on as we continue with the front page. We're talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah of Black Lives Matter LA, and you. We're broadcasting live from the 1-800-THE-LAW 2 studio, Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.
Without that call, without this movement, without black voters, Trump would still be in office, and many, many Democrats would not have won their seats. So I think it's problematic that they're capitalizing on our work and then condemning us for what we say. So we're going to continue to say very loudly, defund the police, especially as we move into budget season. We're going to say free up those dollars to support black businesses. 40 to 50% are set to fail permanently after this pandemic, and we need those dollars for our people, not for over-policing and police abuse and brutality. We'll talk more about it tonight, too, on our Facebook Live show, This Is Not a Drill.
Oh, yeah. So all they have to do is go to Black Lives Matter LA page on Facebook and take part in that. Yeah,
and it's going to be a great show. We have David Gross, Nipsey Hussle's business partner, joining us, the CEO of One United Bank. Kevin Cohey is joining, and Audrina Redmond from Black Lives Matter Long Beach. And we're going to be talking about building black, buying black, and banking black.
Right, just in time for the holidays. You have Black Xmas, which I hope we'll talk about more in an upcoming show. blackxmas.org. Talk to me about Villanueva covering up people's badges. At the same time, saying it's okay for these deputies to cover their badges. At the same time, we've got 4 deputies who are refusing to answer questions about Andres Guardado.
Right. So this is simply terrible and reminds us how these labels are problematic. If you remember, when Alex Villanueva was running for sheriff, he ran to try to get the progressive vote, and some people fell for it.
Yeah, I did. I voted for it.
Right. Alex Villanueva, people are now dubbing him the Trump of the West.
For sure.
He is completely indignant and completely corrupt his empowered sheriff's gangs, and now is saying that the sheriff's department, which has been one of the most abusive and probably the most abusive in recent years under his misleadership, now get to hide their identities. We know that sheriffs are tear gassing folks, they are beating folks, they are shooting folks with rubber bullets, and his new rule specifically applies to protests. So sheriffs who go to protests get to do all of these things, abuse people who are exercising our First Amendment rights, and get to do it under the cover of duct tape, right? Basically put duct tape over their badges, or not wear their name badges. And, this is something that we absolutely have to fight back against. We also know that it's not just an assault on protesters, but it's an assault on what we're protesting about, right? So it empowers the LA County sheriffs to continue to kill and abuse folks. Andres Guardado being one, Dijon Kizee, Frederick Williams, and we need to make sure that we not allow them to do that.
Yeah, I'm assuming get involved with what you guys are doing. I also thought, contacting the supervisors might be a good idea.
The Board of Supervisors, the Sheriff's Oversight Commission has been outspoken. So, we're encouraged that there are people who have political will to stand up. The County Board of Supervisors, as you've reported on repeatedly, is also looking for ways to possibly remove the sheriff. And so we do have some political will.
Dr. Melina Abdullah, just have a couple minutes left, but I want to ask you two things, and you can figure out how to squeeze them in. One is to update us on any cases that are active that we need to be aware of, and the other one is, there's some reporting about the National BLM Foundation being at odds with some local chapters, and if you would set the record straight on that.
Sure. So we need to be aware of all of the cases, right? We need to make sure that we're holding police accountable. So every Tuesday we participate in the LA Police Commission meetings online. So people can join us Tuesday mornings at 9:30. The Police Commission is appointed by Eric Garcetti, so they tend not to do things. They have doubled down and allowed LAPD to say that they've never committed acts of racism or racial bias. They have severely limited public input, and so we're pushing back against that. So please join us on Tuesday mornings at 9:30, and more information is available at blmla.org. With regard to any pushback against Black Lives Matter as the largest racial and social justice movement in global history, it's to be expected that there are folks who organize under banners. Black Lives Matter is a global banner. That does not make them a part of the Black Lives Matter global network. We are intact. We absolutely feel supported and are supported by the global network. Black Lives Matter Los Angeles is part of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is the chapters of Black Lives Matter who are actually doing the work on the ground. And we're very fortunate in Los Angeles to call Patrice Cullors our co-founder and visionary, and one who's not just a part of the vision, but the actual work on the ground. So there's phenomenal work taking place, and anybody can plug in at blmla.org or blacklivesmatter.com if you're not in Los Angeles.
Wow, that was a lot in a little bit of time. Dr. Melina Abdullah, thank you so much. I appreciate you very much. All the work that you're doing and continue to do. So we'll see you tonight.
Thank you.